All right, we are recording. So ready? 5, 4, 3, 2.
Well, how is everyone doing on this beautiful late summer day? I'm Bob Gums. This is the Concerned Forum. And I'm as angry as hell. And you should be too. Now, first thing I want to say is that we need to indict this guy Trump. We need to indict him, and hopefully we will find a decent jury made up of Americans to find him guilty, and then he should be locked away for at least the next 15 years. Now, that's what needs to happen. Something else that needs to happen in this country, and I'm speaking primarily to those folks that vote Republican, and especially those folks who vote Republican and who feel that Donald Trump is their savior. Stop being a sucker. Or, if I could put it more politely, stop being a chump. Because it's about time that that segment of this population that feels, oh, well, they're always picking on Trump. Well, there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is because Trump has done so many things. He has done so much wrong that average people would be in jail until the next century if they, for trying to do the same things that Trump has done. This guy has bankrupted a city. Ever hear of Atlantic City, New Jersey? Well, Trump basically destroyed that place. And quite a few other things, too. I mean, the record on this guy is clear. So, as an intelligent human being, you tell me that you support Donald Trump. You are also telling me that you hate a person, or you hate certain groups of people, but you hate. All right, you don't support somebody like Trump if you're thinking in your straight right mind, and if you truly love this country. I'm sorry, you can't do it. You can't love something that you don't believe in. And if you don't understand, after observing this guy for the last several years, if you don't understand that he doesn't give a damn about you or anyone else or about this country, then you're a fool. And I think it's about time that people start saying that. I always thought after I got past, 50, that I might take a shot at actually running for office. I still might. But you know something? If I'm not successful at it, I won't be surprised, because I don't believe in BSing people. Okay, that's the first thing. And the second thing, if I give a damn about you, I'm going to tell it to you straight. I'm going to tell it like it is. And I care about this country. I believe in this country. And I know some of you out there are thinking, well, hey, I caught this guy, Robert, some time back. And when he was a young kid, he used to run around behind the Black Panthers and did a lot of the demonstrations and all that. And what people, especially people on the so-called right, need to understand is that most of the guys that were in Nam did not believe in the war, right? The people that marched and demonstrated and lost their lives in the 60s and early 70s in the cause of civil rights and the right to vote, they weren't against the country. they were being positive about the country because they were saying, look, my folks have been here for the last almost 500 years. I want to take part in this thing you call democracy. That's why I'm out here demanding the right to vote like any other citizen. So I think that people get that confused. You know, they see a black face, or in some cases they see a Latino face, and right away they think, well, this guy is definitely not what you would call a pro-American. And that is, you know, that is so far off the mark. We are the ones that believe in this country, okay? Because we believe in the promise of this country. And when people turn around and we allow someone like a Donald Trump to infect our body politic, you know, a lot of people voted for Trump because of the fact they didn't like a black guy in the White House. You know, and they didn't want to see a woman in the White House. And, you know, we need to, you know, we need to stop being real in this country. We need to get woke. Now, I know Republicans, right-wingers, Trump, people of that sort, they don't like that term woke. All right, let me tell you something. There's not a damn thing wrong with that word. It's just another way of saying wake up. There's no woke philosophy. It does mean that you are aware of what the hell is going on, and if you see something that's negative, that you're going to try and do something about it. You're going to try and correct it. Like if you see children hungry in their classrooms, or if you see people having to drink water that's contaminated, yeah, that's something to get woke about, right? But the word itself is, you know, it's a good word. But see, we have allowed this Republican Party over the last couple of decades to play mind games. Use the term woke. Don't let anybody play with your head. You know why you use the term woke, because I want to see positive things happen. And, you know, that's the kind of country that we need to be. We need to be a progressive country. That's another thing. Since when the progressive, why did that become a bad word? Oh, well, it's those progressives in Congress. Progressive comes from the word progress. What the hell is wrong with progress, right? We don't just take a chisel and a hammer and try and take out a bad tooth anymore. This isn't 400 years ago, because we've made some progress. And see, that is the problem. We cannot allow certain types of politicians that only want to play to our hatreds to set the table. Because if we continue to do that, we will continue to have people like Trump. Now look at this guy, right? He says, I stole from the government, but now I want to have a special master so that he can go over everything that I already know I stole. You know, this is what people mean, okay, when they talk about privilege. Now, who the hell is Donald Trump to have over 700 pieces of top secret SCI documents laying around his funhouse, beach house in Mar-a-Lago? He doesn't have the right to do that. See, somehow he had the idea that when you became president, you know, you became president for life. He needs to talk to somebody like Dwight Eisenhower or Harry Truman. He's just a citizen, and not a very nice citizen at that. But this business about allowing this guy, you know, as far as we know, this whole business about the classified documents started this past January. And they kept gibbering back and forth. oh, Donald, can you please give us back the records? January, February, March, April, May, June. Listen, if I stole something from the government, and that's what he did, he stole that because he's not entitled to that. What do you call it? What do you tell your kids when they take stuff that doesn't belong to them? Say you stole. Well, that's what this guy did. And the Justice Department, I mean, they patted him on the head, said, okay, Donald, there. Just, give it back, and we're cool. And Donald wouldn't give it back. And then, I think it was, what did they say, June? One of his funky lawyers signs a document, which now we know is fake or was fake, saying that, that's it. We don't have any more classified material. Come to find out, oh, yes, he does. Come to find out that there's film of strange guys going into that basement in Mar-a-Lago, moving the boxes of material, sometimes transplanting that material in different boxes, playing all kinds of games with the material. And the amazing thing is you have these Trump supporters jumping up and down like 3-year-old kids and say, why do they keep picking on Donald? They're always after Donald. Well, yeah, because Donald is a notorious crook and more than likely a traitor. Let me answer one question right now while I'm thinking on it. What bugged folks in government about Donald so much? And why is it that even before he came into the White House, Donald hated the intelligence agencies that we have? FBI, CIA, DIA, my old stomping ground, NSA, all of them, Army intelligence, Air Force intelligence, naval intelligence, the whole ball of wax. Why do you think that is? Listen, I know from my own experience that Trump was hanging out with friends in Russia as far back as 1983. And I do believe that that's before Putin came on the scene. So for that long, right? It might have something to do with the fact that he couldn't get loans from American banks anymore after or before that point in time because he kept flim-flamming them. Yeah, let me borrow 10 million bucks. Okay, Donald, sure, you're Mr. Real Estate, here. And then when it's time to pay the debt, Donald says, hey, look, I only have 4 million here. Take it or leave it. You get that? Can you dig that? This guy borrows the money, and then when it's time to pay it back, he tells you, take it or leave it. And he wants to pay you back less than half of what you loaned him. But here goes the problem for the banks. They don't want people to know that Donald Trump stuck it to them. So they keep their mouths shut and they go ahead and they take his 4 million instead of the 10 million plus whatever interest. And that's it. But he did that enough times to enough financial institutions that he could not get loans in the United States. He could only deal with, we used to call it, when I was at DIA, it was called like the Bank of Spies or something. I can't even think of the name of it right now. But it's this bank, right? Something that you would see in a James Bond movie. And this is where all the gun runners, both legal and illegal, spies, what have you, international drug dealers, it was that kind of a bank, right? And if I'm not mistaken, it was headquartered in Britain somewhere. I think it was in London. And that's it. Now, if you remember, in his campaign, both his sons, primarily not the one now that's always like high on stage with he's growing a beard or whatever, but the other one, what do they call him, the dumb one, right? This kid, right on television in front of God and everybody, somebody asked him about, well, how come, how's Donald able to get all these various, beautiful golf courses around the world? And the kid said, oh, well, that's easy. We get our financing from the Russians. Okay? So you have to wonder. Now, this same guy says that he wants to run for president, right? And then he goes on and says, well, I am running for president. But yet, all his close associates, they're running all around Central Europe. So you got somebody maybe in MI6, maybe a James Bond type, His Majesty's Secret Service, Her Majesty's Secret Service. And we talk, all right? The various intelligence agencies of the Western world, we speak to each other. We work together, right? And so the English guy, he says, hey, I'm going to have a coffee with my American friend this coming Thursday. I'm going to ask him about this. And Thursday comes along, they sit down, they meet. And the Brit says, hey, my American friend, did you know that you're probably soon to be president, Donald Trump? Well, his people are running all around Central Europe, talking to all these very different, strange type of people. I say strange because a lot of these people, we know for a fact, have had some kind of connection. They got a new name now, I think FSB or something like that, but it's, KGB, right? And yeah, these people have had connections with the KGB. And the Brit mentions it to the American guy, and then the American guy gets the same information from somebody in French intelligence and somebody in German intelligence. So if you want to know this whole thing about, well, why are they always looking at Donald? That's the reason. See? If you have a plan in the back of your mind to do some harm to your country, then it would behoove you not to, kind of broadcast it throughout the Western world. And that's exactly what Donald did. And you do know, I think it was his campaign chairman, he's in jail. He went to jail for lying about his associations and about 3 other folks. So, I get tired of hearing this stuff, especially, and I don't mean to be cruel, or I don't mean to be a wise guy, but I get so sick and tired of somebody from the so-called, out there somewhere, somebody in Idaho, right, never even been in the military, is going to start talking about, yeah, well, they're always after our Donald, and he's our guy. And they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. All they know is that, well, he's trying to stop them damn brown-skinned immigrants from taking over this country, and that's good enough for me. And that, therein lies the problem. And my biggest fear for America is that forces, countries, organizations that are hostile to the democratic way of life will be able to play our racial and I was going to say religious, but let's stick with racial. They will play, well, they will play all of our differences, but the biggest ones we have are racial, religious, and sexual, okay? But they will play our differences to the point where we're going to be, constantly tearing at, attacking each other. And that will work towards their benefit. And, well, maybe I sound like a damn fool. January 6th did happen, right? People were killed at the nation's capital that day. Am I mistaken about that? Police were killed, driven to suicide, horribly wounded, damaged. So all that stuff did happen, right? Yeah, okay, so apparently my outlook on this thing is not as crazy as it might seem. Now, another thing, this idea that somehow Donald waved a magic wand, or maybe he did it through some kind of mental telepathy, wherein he declassified those 700 documents, right? Well, no, it doesn't happen that way. Whoever, president, the head of an agency, whoever wants to declassify a document, there is some stuff that you have to go through, right? There is a paper chain. So if what Donald says was true, that he did say, he didn't put out a standing order that any time it leaves the White House, it's automatically declassified. First of all, that's crazy. That would be insane, okay? Second of all, if that were to happen, each particular document that he would want declassified, there has to be why do you want this declassified, or why do you think this should be declassified? Then it would go on to another group, and then another group, each one signing off, okay? That's how things get declassified. That didn't happen. Ergo, Donald Trump is lying, as usual. Oh my goodness, who would ever think that Donald Trump would lie to the public? Oh God, come on, people. Mar-a-Lago had it in a secure basement in Mar-a-Lago. Well, number one, there's no such thing as Mar-a-Lago being secure. The place is a freaking sieve. Okay, you got spooks from all over the world going in and out of Mar-a-Lago. And when we say spooks in the intel business, we're talking about spies, in case anybody got the wrong impression. And you do know that we've already arrested a Chinese agent in Mar-a-Lago. Now, how about that? And this supposedly secure fortress of solitude, right? Hey, man, the place is right there on the waterfront, okay? Agents can do all kinds of neat stuff when you have a site that's right there on the waterfront, right? They can be offshore in the boat, doing their thing. And I really also, and this is where it gets kind of sticky, because frankly, I believe that it's time to investigate Fox Network and the Republican Party. Now, listen, when you're an elected official, the people that you represent, your district, your state, and the people of the United States, they have a right to expect certain things from you. one of them, and I'm not trying to be an old stick in the mud, you know, because I'm going to say that they have a right to expect a certain amount of civilized behavior, right? But if you happen to, say, be a martial artist, or you love baseball or basketball, or if you love to dance, I mean, that's cool. You know, that's what helps you get to sleep at night. That's fine. But when you start talking about killing people, when you start trying to set up government agents and their families for assassination, I think it's time for law enforcement to step in there. Now, this guy, and he's old enough, he's been around in politics long enough. Where's this clown from? And I mean clown. Chuck Grassley. I mean, this guy has been saying some of the most dangerous, horrible things. You know, he's going to get some little short guy wearing big bifocal glasses that's sitting behind a desk in a federal building, trying to get that guy killed. Talking about, yeah, well, the IRS is going to have long guns and they're going to go after small business owners and middle-class people. Hey, man, it's time. It's time for the proper authorities to step in. And I don't, you know, this crap about, well, he's an elected official, he's a senator, or she's a congresswoman, so they could say what they want to say. No, that was never meant to. It was never meant to be like that. And it's time that we get some sanity back into the government. It truly is. And the FBI, now, you middle-class housewives and soccer moms and women who have family and careers that live out there in the suburbs, the FBI they're trying to kill, these are the ones that they're trying to look out for you to make sure that the flight that you're trying to take the family vacation on, or that you or your husband might have to take for business, doesn't get blown out of the skies. Yeah, that's the FBI. That's what they take care of. And they do a fairly good job at it, right? That's who the Republican Party is trying to get killed. And I don't think that's right. Now, these are the same people, mind you, that when you have these incidents where black folks, Hispanic folks are just killed by the police, and they're unarmed. They have no weapons. I mean, we've seen a guy get shot in the back by the police. We seen a black man strangled to death. The whole world saw it, and the whole world demonstrated against it. Literally, the whole world, from London to Paris to New Zealand to Australia. Yeah, that community has a right to get a little bit hot under the collar. And even then, those demonstrations were generally peaceful. I know that one in what was that, Minnesota got out of hand, but you have to understand, people being murdered, and that's murder. When you shoot somebody that's not armed, that's murder, okay? And if it keeps happening to the same community, people got a tendency to get upset about things like that. And some on my side of the fence were saying, well, we need to take the money the police get, and we need to make sure they, get better training, things along that line. We had one or two people that made the comment, yeah, defund the police. That's wrong. every society, even the best society, you got to have some type of peacemaker or, on the scene arbitrator. At least when you're dealing with human beings, okay? But we get that. People get that. People in my community get that, okay? Because we know there are good cops out there, right? Every cop is not a secret member of the KKK. We understand that. But yeah, the bad ones, they need to be punished. And they need to be off the force. The good ones, they need to be commended. Period. And the Republicans tried to make a big thing out of what is basically common sense. But now we have the Republican Party, the party that says we love the blue, right? Now these bastards are talking about defund the FBI. I wonder, these guys, they need to carry ladies carry a little mirror, check out make sure their gear is on correctly. I think, especially the men in the Republican Party, they need to carry a little mirror also. And on one side of it, a miniature copy of the Constitution. And on the other side, have that mirror so they could take a good look at themselves. And they also need to record themselves because the way these guys have been acting, I don't think they pay attention to the news, like when they're interviewed. So maybe they need to carry their own, apparatus so that in the evening when they're home, they can listen to themselves and see how ridiculous they sound. Defund the FBI. Close down the FBI. Saying such things that, you basically stir up the loose cannons that we have in America, just like that young man that was killed. He took a nail gun and tried to attack the FBI office in his area. And then when they started to chase him, he goes, out in the boonies for a bit, and then pulls out a long rifle on him. And he met his maker. And I'm sorry, because he was a former Navy guy, I'm sorry that he went out like that, but I was kind of asking for it. But see, we have people like that in this society. We realize that now with all these mass murders. And the Republican Party, knowing that we have so many mass murders in this country that it's just become repetitious, they decide that, well, yeah, let's go and heat up the situation even more. Only let's see if we can see how many cops we can get them to kill. I never heard Black Lives Matter say, let's kill some police. Never heard that. I've heard Republicans allude to that feeling. And the thing that is so sad to me, our democratic republic, the things that we have gone through to try and, make a country, to show the world that democracy can function, that it can be a place where people look upon you, not what you look like, but what you do. And after 250, 60 years, we're going to lose that. We are going to, we're going to end our democracy because some clown comes along and says, I alone can fix this, right? Yeah, countries go through changes, and yeah, countries they have revolts. Um, Governments are overthrown. Dictators, who unfortunately sometimes a segment of the population thinks, well, maybe this dictator can do it better, and they tear down what they have. You know, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about America here. You know, we're talking about somebody that was trying to establish a dictatorship and, you know, end our democracy. And unfortunately, we now know anything is possible. But damn, man, I mean, Julius Caesar? Yeah. Overthrowing the government, setting up something else. Julius Caesar? I don't know. Maybe I might think about it for a quick minute. But Donald Trump? We're going to destroy America, the legacy, the history, the Constitution, all this good stuff. Valley Forge, Fort Hudson, San Juan Hill, the Fighting 369th, the Fighting 69th. Remember Pearl Harbor? Oh, God, Guadalcanal, Omaha Beach. Jeez, we're going to throw all that away for Donald Trump? No, we're better than that. We are better than that. And as far as Fox Network, because I remember I started off saying that they also need to be investigated. I am getting sick and tired. Now, we're here in New York City, and I'm trying to understand how it is the most racist network today, we'll put it this way, the most racist network that's taken seriously by both the Looney Tunes out there and in the mainstream, they're headquartered here in New York. And I don't understand. Just so people know, I'm a Democrat, right? And I guess you could say I'm a progressive Democrat. And I don't understand why our Democratic office holders have not tried to do something about Fox. Now, I know that I'm going to get hit with, well, you got the First Amendment and all that. Hey, baby, I know about the First Amendment. I understand that. You can't stop people from saying what they want to say. But by the same token, things in life have consequences. Now, here we are in the city of New York, a city that was built on immigration. If there were no immigration, both by choice and by duress, there wouldn't be a New York City. And yet, one of the stars of Fox Network says that immigrants are dirty. And I don't recall hearing any of my Democratic leaders in this area, in this New York area, saying anything about it, right? You have a thing called community standards. And I would really like to see someone, okay, or even if I could find a lawyer, all right, that would be interested. Because if I'm not mistaken now, and that's something I'm going to have to research, but every media vehicle, they had to conform to something called community standards, all right? I'll give you an example. If I like, if you want to see a lot of pornography and what have you, you can't run that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. All right, that's not allowed. On certain vehicles, there are certain things that you can't say, right? And that you can't do, even on cable. Now, we're a little more loose with our language here in 2022 than it used to be. You know, like back in the 50s or even the early 60s, right? But there are still certain mores that a television show or television network is bound to follow. And I would really like to see or get some help with to try and examine who do we see about this community standard thing, right? When is the next time that Fox Network, their license has to come up for renewal? Because when you have a television network, I do believe you're licensed for X amount of time. And that's something that we would, that we would like to look into. And see something else too, just because you have free speech, you can't just say everything that you want because you got libel laws, right? You cannot smear people. You have to be careful with your mouth. And I think that that's something that we really need to start looking at here in this country. Too many people have died over the last several years for people saying things, right? Rhetoric of hate. You know, it's funny. France, Germany, Belgium, Finland, Norway, Sweden, all those Western European countries, they're democracies also. The people vote for who makes their laws and everything. And they are, democratic countries, right? That's what we fought World War II for, basically. But the funny thing is, you can't get away with that kind of stuff that Fox does here, right? They can't get away with that in Western Europe. Now, they try to come close. That's what happened with that, because if I'm not mistaken, the guy that, owns Fox and the Wall Street Journal and, the New York Post, I believe he's the Australian guy, he has the same setup in Europe. But they're not allowed to go as far over there as they do here. And like I say, those countries, they are just as free as we are over here, okay? We have to stop this nonsense into believing that we're the only countries that have quote-unquote freedom, because that ain't so. It's not. And I guess that too many Americans, especially with Trump coming on the scene, and with the help of the Republican Party, they believe that having freedom means that you have the right to incite people to murder people, especially people that don't look exactly like them. And that's something that we really need to get into. Seriously. We have that problem here in New York State, upstate, as a matter of fact. That Congress lady, Stefanik. And it's sad, too, because from what I understand, I mean, I don't live in that area, but from what I understand, once upon a time, she was a pretty good egg. She was a decent woman that got herself elected to Congress as a Republican, which is cool, but now, I don't know what she's supposed to be trying to do. Trump and drag? or be like that little lunatic in Georgia. You know what I'm talking about? And Bobert out in Colorado. Or what is it? With the replacement theory. Now, the only way that you can come up with a theory like that is because you believe that the people that you're aiming at are not as valuable as you are, you see. And I'm trying to figure out, now this lady's name is Stefanik. So somewhere, I don't know if it's her husband or both of them, there's some Eastern European there somewhere, right? Now, I have studied the whole thing about the Mayflower, right? I don't recall seeing names with a lot of vowels there, okay? I don't think Stefanik is a name that you would find on the sailing list for who was on the Mayflower. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But see, what I do have a problem with is the fact that now, in the English colonies, I know my mom's part of the family, right? They've been in Virginia since the 1680s, from what she used to tell me. Yeah, from what I think she said, like late 1680s, somewhere around there, right? So her family, her people have been in what became the English 13 colonies longer than most of the people who became so-called Americans. And of course, the indigenous people were there before her people were there, right? And the longest standing city in the United States is in Florida, St. Augustine. And that was a city that was founded by Spanish soldiers and sailors, conquistadors, and Africans, some slave and some soldiers and sailors with the Spanish. See? And that was what, 15 something? So blacks and Latinos have been in this country, in this hemisphere, with the exception of the Native Americans. Latinos and blacks have been in this part of the world longer than anybody else. So I think Miss Stefanik, Congress Lady Stefanik, needs, before she wants to run around and be a female imitation of Donald Trump, I think she maybe needs to spend some time. Now, she's a congressperson, so she knows where to go. Right there to the Library of Congress, right down there in D.C. And maybe she needs to do a little studying so that when she opens her mouth, she will not say stupid things, and that she will not show her ignorance by speaking on things that she doesn't know a damn thing about. Let's see. Because if you've had the people, Latino people, black and brown people, if they have been here from the 1500s, so how in the hell can we be trying to replace anyone? You see. So in other words, in her way of thinking, we didn't count as full people in her mind from the get-go. She's like those people. Remember the Wheaties box? You had the athlete on the Wheaties box. Remember, and that wasn't too long ago. Was it the 80s or the 90s when you had this Japanese American girl what was she? An athlete? What was her particular sport? I can't remember, but she was great at it. And she was one of the best in the Olympics and what have you. And just like Wheaties does with athletes, they put her on the box. And the hue and cry and crying from all these right-wingers, conservatives. Well, she's not American. Why couldn't you put an American on the, See, that's where Stefanik and people who think like her, that's where they're coming from. See, you're not real unless you look like her, unless you look like Stefanik or her husband. I don't know, who am I supposed to be replacing in this week? She'll have to tell me that. But see, that's what we have this nonsense about. And I tell you quite frankly, that kind of dovetails into this whole CRT thing. Now, I wasn't really made familiar on an academic level with CRT until I was a freshman in college, right up here at City University. When I was, I started as pre-law. And that's how I came in contact with that theory. I don't think, were they calling it critical race theory back then? I don't think so. But generally, they were saying the same thing. Now, people get uptight about that. It's just plain history. But then we get into this whole thing about, they're teaching kids in kindergarten that they're racist and they should be sorry. I want to know what school where that was done. I want somebody to show me where that school was. I want somebody to show me the teacher that told a little white kid in kindergarten that he was a racist oppressor. But see, that's the crap that these Republicans and these right-wingers, that's what they do. Because they feel that a divided America is their surest way to power. Look, I know who I am. I know where my ancestors came from. I know what happened. I know the story of my people here in this country, all right? Some bad stuff happened here in America, and all Americans need to accept that, right? We're not the most evil people in the world by any means, but we do have, we have our moments. We have had our moments in this country, and we have to recognize that. And we have to stop every time somebody says something, well, there was slavery here. Oh, this person's anti-American. They're teaching hatred for America and hatred for the flag. Why? Because somebody stated a basic fact. And you want to lynch the person for that, right? I mean, how many people know? They just starting to talk about the race riot in Tulsa. What about all the race riots they used to have in Florida, in D.C., in Springfield, Illinois, in St. Louis, Missouri, in East St. Louis, the Red Summer of 1919. See, that's all a part of American history. It's just like what happened at Wounded Knee. Okay? America is a great country. However, it is not a perfect country. And we have made plenty of mistakes. And guess what? What are you supposed to do about mistakes? You're supposed to learn from them, right? And as far as I'm concerned, some type of CRT, of course not, in kindergarten. In kindergarten, you're supposed to learn how to play well with others, okay? Which, unfortunately, our Republican friends is something, apparently they didn't go to the same nursery school and kindergarten that I went to. because it's obvious they never learned that lesson, all right, about playing fairly with other people. You're supposed to learn that by the time you get into kindergarten. Apparently, they must have been out that week or something, or whatever. But this idea that you're not supposed to, oh, well, we're not going to talk about slavery. Just like that clown in Florida, the would-be Hitler, DeSantis. You know, who the hell does he think he is? Well, you can't say this. You can't think that. We don't want you to read about that. That joke that he tried to put out there for talking about history, I forgot what grade that was for, but quite frankly, that thing would have been infantile if it was trying to be done in the nursery school. No, history happened. Things happen. And the purpose of learning about it is so that it doesn't happen again. I don't walk around this idea that, oh, well, American white people are rad because they did this. The glory of America is that we take you and we deal with you, not because who your father was or what your father did, but what you do. You see, I judge a man by what he does. I'm not going to judge anybody, man or woman, by what their parents did, okay? Donald Trump. Now, his father was no damn good, but we don't judge him by what his father did. We judge Donald by what he has done. Because the funny thing is, Donald's brother, the one that died, from what I remember, when that family was always in the papers, he was a pretty nice guy. He's a damn good dude. As a matter of fact, he even wanted to serve his country. As a matter of fact, he had problems with Donald and his dad because he felt that he should, being a child, right, a privilege, that it would be good for him to join the Air National Guard. Well, how about that? Now here you got one brother, the older brother, he wants to serve his country as a reservist. And his younger brother, when the country called for him, he ran like a rabbit 5 times. 5 times he got his old man to find a doctor to lie to the draft board about his physical incapacity. He had a little spur on his foot. Oh, please. You know how many, man, I want to tell you about the guys I met doing NAM that were taken in with all kinds of various ailments, right? That's how come I feel like I want to vomit when I see Trump gliding across the stage somewhere and he grabs the American flag like he's literally getting ready to get intimate with the flag. And that makes me so sick to my stomach. This draft dodging SOB, come on. But he had his brother was cool. I wish that we all had the chance to know his brother and not him. And see, that's why I say, this is what America's supposed to be about. We judge a man by how he stands on his own 2 feet, not by what his father did. And that's the way it's supposed to be. That's kind of like what Martin King said about judging folks by the content of their character and not the color of their skin. That kind of makes me think about that boy, what's his name? Herschel Walker. I think that's one of the most racist, obscene things that the Republican Party has done, among a lot of obscene things that the Republican Party has done. This one is pretty low. because they allowed Trump to get Herschel Walker to run for Senate. Now, I don't know, that kid might win. I hope not, for the sake of Georgia. I mean, my God, I wouldn't want Herschel Walker representing me. But here goes the thing. I am very proud that basically, he's not being attacked. It is a racial thing, and it's not a racial thing, because Trump and the Republicans thought, well, yeah, we'll put Herschel Walker on the ticket, and we'll take we'll take black votes from the Reverend. See, because Herschel is very popular, okay, because of his football career. But here goes the thing. To me, that was being racist as hell, because you believe that black folks in Georgia are going to be dumb enough to support someone like Herschel Walker, seeing his condition. Of course, Trump also figures that white people in Georgia are just like him, all racist. So they would have no qualms about putting a very sick man into to represent them in the United States Senate, just as long as he ain't a Democrat. But see, that's how Trump thinks about things. I don't think that I'm sure you have some whites in Georgia that think that way, but I don't want to believe that, especially nowadays, that is the majority. Because what they're doing to Herschel Walker is wrong. Because it's not right to attack people who have a disability. And good Lord, man, just listen to the brother. You can see that man has issues, some serious issues. Almost, shooting his wife, shooting himself. I mean, I'm not even going to get into all that, because you can hear it on the news. But if the Republican Party had really cared about Herschel Walker as a person, what they would do, they would get him involved in the campaign. They would have somebody, a strong, at least sane, intelligent person, right, running for that Senate seat, and they would have Walker maybe come up on the, on the excuse me, on the podium with the person, right? Yeah, I'm Herschel Walker, football star, and I support so and so. Yeah, that would have been cool. But to see this guy with so much disability, right? And you're going to try and make him a senator? You're forcing that guy into the position where he's making a buffoon out of himself. And it's not his fault, because the gentleman needs help. And I don't believe that the black community in this country or in Georgia, when this is all finished, even if Herschel does not win, the black community we shouldn't turn our backs on him. We should not do that, because this is a brother that's being taken advantage of. And the sad thing is, maybe he doesn't even realize it. But see, this is what I mean about Trump and this Republican Party. They will stoop to anything because they know. Forget the racial differences. They know the majority of people in America, the majority of voters, ain't going their way. And that's why a lot of these Trump supporters are so angry and want to be violent and hurt people, because they're upset, because they know that this country will not stand for it. We can only stand for so much of this nonsense with Trump and the Republican. The Republican Party has not won a popular election. What was the last popular election they won? Reagan? And then Bush Sr., right after Reagan, I believe he won. And then that was it. everything they have tried to do is the electoral college. They got to go, or they're going into court to contest this and contest that, because they cannot sweep a majority of the American people into their circle. I'm not saying that everybody in America is becoming a Democrat. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, as far as the Republican Party is concerned, and that's not a good thing. Even I'm a Democrat, but I hate to write the Republican Party off and just say, well, they're no longer Republicans, they're just fascists. No, because that's not good for our democracy. We need two sides, okay? Because Democrats do not have all the answers. Just like at home, you got two people living in a house. One person is not always going to be right. But with the Republican Party, they have gone so far to the right that there's this present Republican Party, I don't believe there's a comeback for them. They're too far gone. I think Lynn Cheney's right about that. Well, listen, folks, thank you so much for having me in your homes today. Keep up with the news. Keep up with what's going on. Pay attention. Stay woke. And don't let anyone shame you for using that word. It's a good word, all right? Stay woke and pay attention. And listen, you have a great weekend. Take care of each other. See you next time, same place. Concerned Forum, signing off.